Hello, Church on the Hill, folks. Welcome, or whoever else is listening. On this Hill podcast, we're here in the studio this morning with a good friend, kind of a new friend, but we've gotten to know each other over the last few weeks because of some stuff that has happened. I'll be talking about that in just a few seconds. But Craig Smith, and Craig, it's good to have you with us.
Thank you for having me, Bruce. It's really good to be here.
Yeah, we've been chatting a little bit before we got started here. Just about where we've been and those kinds of things. We'll get into it in just a second. But Craig is known now in Salem because you're the new director of Union Gospel Mission downtown, right?
That's right. Yep. 2 whole months.
2 months. 2 months into the job. And before that, what were you doing? What was life?
My wife and I moved to Salem in about 1980, so we've been in town for a long time. We have a couple kids, and I have 8 grandkids and 3 great grandsons.
Wow.
So you didn't ask that, but that was the most important thing.
No, that's
right?
important.
Before this, I have spent most of my adult life working for trade associations that represent either food processing or agriculture. And so I'm basically a lobbyist. I've lobbied the Oregon legislature, the Washington legislature, the Idaho legislature, Utah, and Nevada for 35 years.
On behalf of
food companies, like
Okay.
companies here in Salem, some of them are members, and then companies all over the Northwest. Nice. And so, yeah, that's been my life for the last 30 years. But
now that's interesting. And now you're the director of Union Gospel Mission. Get us the bridge.
There is a
Take
bridge.
us to the bridge.
There is a bridge. About 2005 or sometime in that area, my wife and I started a ministry called the New Beginnings Baby Boutique. It was an outreach ministry that my wife ran for single moms in our community.
I remember that.
Yeah, it was an amazing ministry. And so my wife, Susan, ran that ministry for 12 years. And we gave away baby goods, but it was really an outreach ministry. It was a evangelistic outreach. And so we got the opportunity to share the gospel with thousands of women in Salem over the course of 12 years. It was really amazing. And out of that grew a Bible study in our home that turned into 40, 45 people that eventually we looked and said, we got a church on our hands. So we kind of backed into church planting.
Having a baby yourself.
It was crazy, but we did. We planted a church. I pastored that church for 7 years. It was called One Treasure. Met not too far from here at Weddell School.
Okay.
And we did that for quite a while. And then that ended. We merged with another church, and my wife and I left that. And but all during that whole time, I was bivocational, and so I was still working for the food processing industry and doing that work as well. So there is a kind of a logical bridge, but the story of how I got here is pretty funny, actually, because it's a story on me.
Somehow UGM found you, or you found them?
Well, they found me in the sense that one of the board members goes to church with me. My wife and I attend a church plant that meets at the Boys and Girls Clubs. Shameless plug for Peace Bible Church.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm an elder there. And one of the people that goes to church there that was part of our core team is on the board at UGM. And they'd been looking for a new exec for, I think about a year.
Right. I remember
and
that.
hadn't been very successful. And so one day I remember the date because I was up to my eyeballs in alligators that day. And I had so much going on. And I get this text from Cameron, and he says, "Would you be willing to apply for the UGM job?" And just absolutely, with no thought whatsoever, I texted him back a one-word response: no. And not only no, but in my heart, it was like hard stop. No, don't talk to me about this. This is not the time, nor the place, nor the job. And I didn't see myself in this role at all. My wife and I had been, while we were doing the baby boutique, very involved with the mission because we took a lot of women to Samanka Place.
Yeah.
And we also had a lot of New Life Fellowship guys from the men's mission that came to our church. And so we had been involved from that perspective, and we loved the mission and loved the work, but I just didn't see that as me.
That's so interesting. Here at Church on the Hill, at our we record here in our Kaiser campus, and so we have a couple of vans that come from Samonka House on Sunday morning.
Yeah.
A bunch of the ladies here, and then we have a recovery ministry that meets after the service. And so we've gotten to know a lot of the Samonka ladies and the leadership, and it's just been a joy. But I was thinking how interesting it is that you lived in Salem most, a good chunk of your life. You interacted with people. Did you ever imagine yourself being the director of you interacted with UGM. Did you ever think, heck, one day I'm gonna be the director?
That was the absolute last thing on my life.
It's
in
the
my
typical
life.
ministry.
It's just so much the Lord, right? I mean, he has a sense of humor and he has his own ways. But at the end of that story, basically, Cameron went through the whole month of December bugging me about it. He actually told me.
He didn't take no for an answer.
No, he didn't. And not only did he not take no, he shamed me. He came up to me one day at church. He wasn't shaming me, I guess, but
It's just gospel persuasion.
he told me, he said, listen, he said, literally, he says, this never happens to me. But he said, the Lord has made it clear to me that you are supposed to apply for this job.
Ooh.
And I looked at him and I literally said to him, Cameron, it was bad pizza. You just have indigestion. That was not the Lord. And it was a joke, but it wasn't a joke because I wasn't really interested. And then after the first of the year, my wife, who is the most wise person in my family,
She kind of hears the Lord better.
always, and she looked at me and she said, what are you going to do about the UGM thing? And she wasn't really trying to encourage me to apply. She just wanted me to make a decision. And I said, well, I don't have any intentions of applying because I don't think it's me. And she looked at me and she said, have you really prayed about this?
Don't you hate that? When people ask you that?
It was terrible. And I was.
You want me to bring God into this? Is that-
You want me to make the story worse? I'll make the story worse. So give you a little insight into me. I not only hadn't prayed about it, but I said to her, I looked at her and I said these words out loud. I said, no, I haven't, and I don't need to. And as soon as I said that, the Holy Spirit just convicted me that I was being arrogant and selfish, and who was I to know what God wanted,
Yeah.
So I started praying about it, and kind of the rest is history. I ended up sending him a cover letter and a resume. My cover letter is hysterical. The first line is, I know I'm not the guy you're looking for, but here's my resume.
Literally.
I actually said that, and that didn't deter them. We spent some time together. I will tell you, the board of directors at the UGM is some of the finest people I've ever met.
Yeah.
I love those people.
Yeah.
We work together so well, and it's just a joy to be there.
So watching UGM and interacting with UGM, so to speak, on the outside as a pastor or however that you were involved, and now you're on the inside.
Yeah.
You've been there 2 months.
Yeah.
What first impressions?
Well, it's been a really unusual 2 months.
Right.
So the first thing that I hit was, it's the time of the year where that ministry is always strapped for cash, and we were in pretty dire straits when I walked in the door. But we've watched the Lord in the last month do some things. It's unbelievable what God can do. I shouldn't say it that way,
Right, but it's,
we all know that. But what he actually does, we pray for it, and he actually answers. It's just been unbelievable. And then, of course, 30 days in, we had a tragic incident where 12 people were stabbed inside and outside the mission. 11 of them transported to the hospital. And that just changed everything overnight.
Sure. Yeah, it turns everything upside down.
So my first impressions, to answer your question, I absolutely love being there. I just can't imagine being anyplace else.
Wow.
It's been a godsend.
And even though you thought you weren't the guy.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not your guy.
And when it became apparent that God was calling me there, even though I didn't think so, that has really given me a great deal of assurance and peace, especially through the turbulent 2 months that I've been there.
Yeah.
Because I have come, first of all, the incident itself helped me to understand who I was working with. Let me tell you, if you don't mind, I could tell you a quick story. So this all happened. The incident happened on June 1st. It was a Sunday night at 7:15.
And that was here. So if you're listening from outside the state here, some of our friends locally here in Salem, there was an individual who
Yep.
kind of went berserk inside. He was already inside.
He was. And he attacked one of my staff members. When he went to retrieve his bag, we store everybody's bag. We don't let them bring their bags into the mission. And so he went back to the storage area, brought it back, and when he bent over to set it down, the guy stabbed him. And it should have been fatal. But through the providence of God, it wasn't. There was somehow a Salem police officer in the building within a minute and a half.
Wow.
And he had just been trained on how to deal with this kind of wound. And he saved his life.
Wow.
And so praise God for that. He's well. In fact, everybody's doing well. That was.
And then that guy went on. He stabbed 10 others. 11.
He went on a rampage. He actually stabbed 11 more people.
Okay.
And some of them in the building, some of them outside the building.
Yeah.
And but the
story, I didn't mean to detour, but
no, that's
just the
fine.
background.
Just to get the background. But the story, so that all happened at 7:15. The Salem Police Department, their forensics team was in there until 3:30 a.m. Doing their investigation, and the place was a mess. I mean, we couldn't use it. You can imagine. And at 4 a.m., my kitchen staff, came in through the back door and started cooking breakfast because we had 120 guys upstairs.
They're residents, so to speak, in the program.
Yeah. Well, not just program guys, but also guests who were there for the night, had already gone to bed, some of them, or went to bed shortly after the attack. And so we had a full complement of people staying with us that night, even though we'd had the incident. And my staff came in that morning at 4 a.m. I left the building at 1:30 a.m. And went home and got some sleep. I was back at 5:45. I drove into the parking lot to find 150 guys at tables out in the parking lot eating breakfast.
Having breakfast.
It still chokes me up. I thought, this is not possible. How in the world? And then my guys came in and they realized we still have to serve the people.
Life
that are
goes
here.
on.
Yeah. And we never missed a meal. Summit Restoration, Lord bless them, came in, dropped everything, came in and cleaned up all the mess that was in the day room. It took them most of the day. They got done at 3 o'clock. They turned the building back over to us. And we had served lunch in the interim out in the parking lot. And at 5 o'clock, we reopened for full services, including dinner and beds and chapel that night.
Yeah.
We never missed one service.
Wow. That's amazing. What a great story. So, Craig, I'm sitting here thinking, help us here, maybe get a peek behind the scenes. Your staff members are working. They serve men 7 days a week down at the mission who come in, all walks of life, all kinds of backgrounds.
Yeah.
A tragedy at this level happens that's traumatic, it's disturbing, it's berserk, and so how do your staff deal with that? You know what I mean? How do they, does it discourage them? Do they just want to quit? What are they thinking? What are they talking about? How do they see it?
Yeah. They were scared to death.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just
Traumatizing.
Trauma. Absolute trauma. We're still dealing with some of that and helping them through that. We've been providing counseling services, and also the Salem PD has loaned us their chaplains to do some acute stress training and just amazing things. But on the whole, what I saw was after the initial shock of the incident, people were afraid, but they were also determined to continue to serve. This is one of the things I learned, Bruce, about UGM that I didn't know when I was interviewing, is that UGM was founded as a church.
Right.
It was incorporated as a church. The founders were very wise in that. And they saw that the gospel, which is the centerpiece of our name, is the absolute reason that we exist.
Right.
And that showed through this process because my folks understand that they're there to do ministry, and that the preaching of the gospel, the serving through the gospel that happens at UGM to a very tough demographic. It's not easy ministry.
Yeah.
These guys are out on the front lines. They were determined not to see that stop.
Right. That's so cool.
So they came, even though they were afraid.
Yeah.
And so we've been going through a process of trying to help them feel more secure, and our guests, which is the other piece of it that you don't think about. We have a lot of guests that come in there. They're very regular. A lot of them we know very well. And they were afraid as well.
Yeah.
And so should I even stay there? We had parents of kids that were staying with us call and ask if they would come home. Actually ask their kids to come home because they thought it was unsafe.
Yeah. Every time something like this happens, there's a ripple effect, isn't there? You
Yeah.
know, in the immediate circle and then out into the community. So again, if you're not familiar with the UGM here in Salem, I believe it was just about 4 years ago you moved in. Was
Right.
it that you moved into a brand new facility?
Right.
The facility is a beautiful 3-4 story.
It's 3 stories.
How many square feet are there?
Oh boy, I don't even know.
But it's a
big.
wonderful place. I've been through there a number of times, right across the street from the Salem Police Department, which
Yes.
as well built a brand new building.
Yeah.
So in a way, the profile of UGM has been raised. That new building attracted a lot of attention, and then of course the homeless issues of and challenges here in Salem and the Portland area and so forth. It's meeting a very obvious need. But then all of a sudden, this tragedy happens, and the profile is raised once again significantly.
Yeah.
And different people are talking to you that maybe don't understand the Christian faith or UGM. What is that all about? So what kind of interaction did you have with people that were sort of outside the circle, but that were genuinely interested in what happened and how you're dealing with it?
Right. We got a lot of media coverage.
Yeah.
All the Portland TV stations were down in my
saw
parking
it.
lot the next day.
I saw it, yeah.
That was pretty significant because, just to step back, about 10 days before the attack, I'd had an opportunity to meet with my staff for the first time as an all-staff meeting. And
Just
we did
10 days before the attack.
Yeah. We did a commissioning service. My pastor came and our elders, and they commissioned me into the service of Union Gospel Mission. And our board was all there. My staff was all there. And I was able to tell them at that point, to give them an understanding of who I am and where we're going as an organization, because we stand as a gospel ministry. We are not a homelessness ministry.
Right.
We are a gospel ministry that serves homeless people.
Right.
Both men and women. You have a women's ministry in Kaiser, not far from here. And I was able to tell them that because of the gospel of Jesus Christ, that we would never back down and never give up. That we would follow the Lord ruthlessly as a ministry, and never would we back down, no matter what. And it was 10 days later that we got tested to see if that was true. And I can tell you, coming out of it, we're a stronger organization than we were. We're stronger. We have scars. Things will never quite be the same because of it.
Right.
But at the same time, it was just amazing. And so, yes, we've had an opportunity to speak into communities so we had a prayer meeting on a Thursday, 2 weeks later. You were there.
I was there, yeah.
And in that audience were numerous non-believers.
Right.
They heard the
There were
gospel.
politicians of all stripes.
Yeah, they heard the gospel. And what was cool about that is none of the politicians asked to be on the stage because we weren't going to do that.
Right.
But none of them wanted to be. They all were there to worship with us
And to identify.
and just to tell us that they loved us and supported us. What a great thing. And then right after that prayer meeting, I told you this briefly before, we had been scheduled, Mark Hunter and I, our outreach guy, had been scheduled to do an interview on OPB on their live noon program. And the host, Dave Miller, he just was sincerely interested and concerned about us. And so he asked a number of questions, and we kind of walked through the scenarios. And then he asked me this question. He said, how in the world is it possible for you guys to have so much hope in the midst of such a horrible event?
That is the great question, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it was an amazing question. And I was able on Portland radio to preach the gospel for 3 minutes. And he never interrupted me. And that's how we ended the show.
In a nutshell, what did that 3 minutes sound like?
That 3 minutes sounded like we have hope because Jesus Christ is the Son of God. He came from heaven. He died for our sins. He was raised on the third day. He's in heaven, seated at the right hand of God, and is our advocate before the great God of the universe, the creator of all things, who is in control of all things, and who absolutely understands what happened at the mission and was there and is in it and is leading us through it, and all those who were attacked. So, the essence of the gospel, just how do you get that opportunity?
Yeah. Well, that's a pretty good way to distill the Bible into just a minute. That's great. That's catechism right there.
Yeah. It's really amazing.
What about? And I didn't hear that particular interview with the OPB 12 o'clock. I did hear a piece on OPB later about the incident, but it wasn't the interview with you. But what about someone on the outside, for example? Because I think you and I, when I say outside, inside, I mean we're believers. I'm a pastor here in town. You're a pastor of UGM. I mean, they're both pastoral ministries, right? Just different applications. Your particular group that you pastor have a different, like you used the word demographic, different set of needs. Their life problems are different than, say, the average person in our church, although we have that. I guess there's more of a spectrum is what I'm saying. But what about this idea of, okay, so where was God? If God's so good, or if God's so big, couldn't he have stopped this? And if he could, why didn't he? Did you get that at all? Where was your God? Where was your good, loving God in the midst of this, that 12 people were wounded almost too seriously?
No one asked me that question, but it is a question that I'm sure was in people's minds.
Sure.
I think it was in the host of that show's mind when he asked me how we could have so much hope.
Yeah, because this is a Christian ministry doing God's work. So
right. Why
he
would
at the door?
Well, there's a good answer for that. And I mean, ultimately, do we ever understand why God allows hard things to happen? We do, from the sense of Peter's explanation of it in 1 Peter, where he says, don't be surprised when the fiery trials come. Because don't be surprised, because this is how we grow as people. This is how the sanctification process works. Trials and tribulations are the things that cause us to grow the most. And so why would God allow this? Well, it's for his ultimate purposes. I was just looking at Colossians 1. There's a whole section in there. I think it starts with verse 15, if I remember right, talking about the preeminence of Christ.
Yeah.
How he's over everything. Everything's under him.
Holds all things together.
Holds all things together. Oh, it's such a great passage. And if I believe that, and I do, that the Bible is true, that it is the infallible word of God, then in all of that, I have to be okay with understanding that somehow in God's plan, he has allowed this to happen, not caused it to happen, and not even he uses evil things like the death of Christ. The most evil thing that's ever happened was for God's purposes.
Right.
And so I think the answer to that question is never super satisfying for people sometimes, because you have to go back to the ultimate supremacy and providence of God to get to the right place, to get to that foundation. Because you have to trust God going into those things. Henry Blackaby says something in his Experiencing God study that's always stuck with me. He says, in the middle of a trial is the wrong time to try to figure out who God is.
Right.
You got to figure it out ahead of time.
Yeah.
And because then you can trust him. And that's where we're at. I think that at the mission, we're really working on trusting him through all of this and seeing him work. My employee who was the most seriously injured should have died. Miraculously, he did not. He was out of the hospital in 2 weeks. And now he's bugging us to come back to work. And he took me aside. Oh, yeah. I mean, he was 2 weeks ago. But his doctor hasn't given him a release to come back yet. And we want him back because he's a great guy. But the end of the story is that he came into the mission on his way home from the hospital. He stopped. And because we have a health clinic. People probably don't know that, but we have a health clinic inside the mission. And so his primary doctor is associated with that clinic. So he had stopped in to make appointment for follow-up care. And he took me aside, sat me down in the conference room, and he looked at me and he grabbed me and he said, "I came here to share the gospel." And he said, "I have to come back. I have to get back as soon as possible because that's what God has called me to do." And no fear, no worry. He just told it. He told one of our board members who went to visit him in the hospital. He said, "I'm fine." He says, "I'm healed. My body just hasn't caught up with it yet."
Right. Wow, that's powerful stuff. Huh? That's amazing. You know, I'm going to circle back to a little bit of the bigger picture here at the mission. You serve a population that is, again, we know that the homeless situation and other substance abuse, those are more surface issues, right? But there's a deeper issue that's at play. And of course, that issue is the gospel or the lack of in the life of an individual. And we know that's a complicated situation with all the factors that have played into that. What keeps you guys going? What keeps you guys from becoming cynical or jaded or hard to a population that seems to just, it's Groundhog Day, right? They just seem to like same issues over and over and over 365 days a year. And yet you guys keep coming back and you serve breakfast, you serve dinner, you counsel, you love. What is that?
It's the gospel, Bruce. I mean, it really is understanding that what we do is eternal.
Yeah.
And that matters because there are so many organizations around and in Salem that do amazingly good work, but they're not gospel or Christian organizations. Right. And so they're able to relieve suffering temporarily.
Temporarily, yeah.
And I don't, I'm not one of these that bashes anybody. Some of that stuff is
they're doing a good job.
There's some really good things being done, but that's a big one. There is that if there's no gospel, there's no answer. The only answer is a relationship with Jesus Christ, because that's what will break the chains of sin and death, and that's really what you see in the homeless.
Wait, why is that the answer?
It's the answer because that's what Jesus has done.
Right.
He died for us. He died for our sin because all of this ultimately rolls out of people's sin.
Right.
I just was on my way over here. A couple of Salem PD guys had stopped by that deal with homeless issues because we've had some issues down at our store, and we were talking about how to deal with it, and I just. It just became so apparent that, the answer to these questions, it isn't moving people away or doing it. Sometimes you have to do that, but they need Jesus.
Yeah.
They're so rebellious. And that's what one of the officers said. He said, "Man, these guys are so stuck in their rebellion, they won't come inside." We probably have 20 guys that sleep on the sidewalk right outside our building every night.
That's wild.
It makes me crazy. We've got a lot of empty beds. Just come on in. Come on in and sleep.
What are they afraid of, or what's the deal there?
Rules.
Rules.
Almost all of them will tell you, "Yeah, we don't like the rules." Well, our rules are pretty minimal. Like no guns, no knives, no drugs. I mean, they're pretty basic.
We're not asking you to kneel on marbles here.
No. And we check their bags when they come in. We don't let them bring their bags in. We check them. They're safe. They get a receipt.
And everybody's safe.
And that's it. That's kind of it. And they can have meals, and a lot of those guys come and eat meals anyway.
Right.
But they don't want to sleep in the building because It's too confining.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. I'd love to have you back another time. I'd like to talk about that. But back to this idea though of you guys just show up,
Yeah.
and you show up with the same gospel message because you and I have seen that it works.
It does.
When we say it works, what we mean by that is that it produces lasting change.
Yeah.
Right, it breaks even the cycles, the generational cycles of sin
It does.
and darkness and so forth.
Well, what Romans 1, the word of God, the gospel is the power of God unto salvation.
Yeah.
It's true. I mean, we see it happen. So maybe people don't know exactly how we work, but at the men's and the women's mission, the fundamental core ministry that we do is the New Life Fellowship program. That's our... so people come in, they'll stay with us maybe in an emergency situation, or they're homeless, they'll stay with us for maybe an extended period of time. Out of that community of people who are staying with us, a level which we would call our guests, we get to know those people, and that's the guys that work down on the front desk on the floor. That's their job, is to get to know people and to identify people who are good candidates for our discipleship and training program called New Life Fellowship. And we'll move them into that status if we feel like they're ready for it. And they make a huge commitment. They make a 1-year commitment to us.
Wow.
And they live with us up on the 3rd floor for a year. And they
In an apartment type of a
there's this dorm situation. Smaller
Okay.
dorms than what you do.
But they're there. They live there.
They live there. It's their residence, and it's a full-time job just going through the program. It is intense, and we have 3 full-time counselors and a director up there that work with these guys and walk them through, and then we have a ton of folks from the outside that mentor them in their churches, and they're all required to go to church, and I know some will come here.
Some of them are here with us.
They're wonderful guys, and it's just fun to get to know. And they all have a story. But that's really the heart of the mission. We provide food and beds and services, and we get people in off the street and out of the cold or hot.
Because those are the immediate felt needs.
Exactly. And then our goal is to move them upstairs and get that commitment, because this is where we find people come to Christ. The guys that are up there for a long period of time, they come to know Jesus, and their lives are changed.
Yeah.
And we just had a graduation with a couple of guys that are we're just moving out, and what stories of redemption! It's amazing.
Wow.
It's that's what makes it.
That's what gets
work.
you out of bed every morning. Yeah.
I'm 2 months in, so I'm not too jaded yet.
Yeah.
But
there's a question that was in my mind while you were talking just a minute ago. So you have to deal with, obviously you have to deal with city officials, government officials, law enforcement. And I noticed at that prayer gathering after the incident that one whole wall of people, men and women standing, were Salem PD, Marion County Sheriff.
Yeah.
How do they see this? Because they're in the job, they're definitely in the downstream.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we have a number of personal friends that attend the church that are law enforcement.
Yeah.
And their jobs are difficult. But
really hard.
Yeah. But how do they see the partnership, so to speak, and the work of UGM in making the city of Salem a better place?
Oh man, they are so supportive. I didn't know any of these people before I started this job. It's just been a whole learning experience. But to a person that I've dealt with, to an officer, every single one has told me the same thing. You guys are our best partner on this in this process.
Yeah.
They see us as partners and helpful. They also are very protective of us.
Yeah.
And especially so now. But I'll tell you, Chief Womack, Salem PD chief, called me every day after the attack to see how I was doing.
Yeah.
I didn't know Chief Womack. I've only just briefly met him.
And I'm sure he's
talked to
got
him.
things to do.
But he's got
calls you every
huge
day.
job. Yeah.
It's amazing.
And he was out of town.
Oh.
And so, and he gave me the personal cell phone numbers of his 2 deputy chiefs. And their loss control guide who came over and did an assessment for us and put us in contact with the school district, who has also loaned us their loss control guy to help us understand how to do metal detectors, which we're going to have to install. And Sheriff Hunter, he's going to be back in the building again tomorrow afternoon. He and I have become really good friends, and he's coming over again to walk through the building and show us some things that we can do that to make it a little bit more secure without kind of making it feel like a jail. And, it's those kinds of things, Bruce, it's just been unbelievable. I'm so blessed at that prayer meeting when I stood up and I looked out and I saw the PD and EMT guys standing against the window.
Yeah.
I started crying.
Yeah, that was a moving moment.
It caught me by surprise.
Yeah.
And then
The whole room
room just erupted.
Yeah, a standing ovation, yeah.
For several minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, I still get choked up thinking about that.
I don't know who said it. Someone said it years ago, but a rising tide floats all boats. You know? And I think when you live in Salem, like you and I have for several decades now, it takes all kinds of people if we don't care who gets the credit.
Yeah.
It's unlimited, the good that we could do, whether that's law enforcement or ministry outreaches or Salem Leadership Foundation or some of the other organizations here in the city that are just trying to see the kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven.
Yeah.
So for a guy who said on his resume, "I'm probably not your guy," you seem like you're the guy.
Well,
have you changed that mind? I am the guy now.
I have. I have.
You finally agreed with God on this?
I did.
And your wife?
I did. And my wife.
Did your wife say, I told you so?
It's funny. Well, my wife would have to admit she wasn't really pushing me to go do the job either. But she did have a lot more wisdom than I about whether I needed to pray about it. Have I changed? Yeah, I can't really imagine myself anyplace else now.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
I am. It's a sure sign.
I'm so happy to be there. It's been through the tumult of the last 2 months. Couldn't imagine being anyplace else.
Yeah. Well, just imagine 2 months in and you're the future's before you. We'll have to circle back.
It's pretty amazing. It really is. Yeah, it's exciting to know. We're about to launch a remodel project at Samanka that we've been raising money for a while.
Yeah.
We just pushed the button on that last week.
Tell us a little bit about that before we finish.
Yeah, really cool project. Samanka Place is out in North Kaiser,
right?
And we have been very limited in our ability to serve women with children.
Yeah,
because we just don't have the facility for it.
Smaller space.
Yeah,
older
and
building.
Our larger rooms where families could be, we needed to put 2 families in. That wasn't working, so they wouldn't stay. So we are going to start real quick. I was just working on the contract this morning. So we've pushed the button and said go. We've raised the money to have enough in hand to do most of the project. We'll finish the fundraising this fall. But that remodel will give us single family rooms for moms and kids with private bathrooms. We'll have, I think, 5 new rooms that will be able to serve those moms. What that does is it moves them from being crisis mode residents into long-term New Life Fellowship residents. It gives us the opportunity to have those moms feel comfortable there for longer periods of time, which is our goal, is to keep them as long as we can, so that we can get to know them and speak into their lives. And so I'm really excited about that. Once we're done, we'll have the ability to serve those women with children in a much better way.
If you're not familiar with how things are working in the city and what's going on and some of the real needs, I mean, the idea of a mom with children on the streets in a homeless situation is just so tenuous, and so we have friendships with a number of the women that are in the program there. And they come here on a Sunday, and they're just lovely women who have, like you said, everybody has a story. But our job is not to sort out the story. Our job is to be the hands and feet of Jesus to them. And so that this thing that he's describing, you're describing, is such a worthy investment of just getting
Yeah.
moms and children into a safe place.
It's just scratching the surface
Right.
of the need.
Yeah.
But it's what we can do, and we're really excited about it. It's going to be a good thing.
Yeah. So if you're listening here and you're interested in maybe knowing more about this or getting more involved, they could just reach out to the UGM office and get more information.
Absolutely. Our website as well. Probably the best place to start if you're really not familiar with the ministries. We do a Friday tour.
Nice.
Both at the Men's Mission and at Samanka. You can sign up for it online.
What's the website?
It's ugmsalem.org.
Okay, that's easy. UGMsalem.org.
Yep, and or just Google Salem Mission, and you'll find it. Those tours, we call it the I Never Knew tour, because
Great name for
you
it.
come through and you go, oh, I never knew. Did you know that we have a full learning center up on the 3rd floor? We partner with Shemeketa. We offer degrees and we pay the tuition. Mm-hmm. We just had 2 guys graduate.
Yeah.
People go, oh, I didn't know that. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, we have a learning lab up there. We have a GED testing facility up there. We're state certified to do GED testing. It's like, oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't know that. So
Yeah.
it's
I
pretty
mean,
cool.
just sitting here in this little time together, there are things I never knew that either.
Yeah, so come to the tour. That's the great entryway, and then we'd love to have. We're always looking for volunteers and people to help with things. We have a store. Shop at our store. That'd be good.
Yeah. Or drop stuff off.
Drop stuff off at the warehouse, and
Yeah.
it's
Lots of ways.
there's lots of ways to engage.
Yeah. Mark, it has been a pleasure. Talking to you. I called you Mark just now. Sorry.
okay.
Mark Stanford, excuse me, because he's been on with us as well. But thanks for all you do.
Oh, thank you.
You and your team, and thanks for being resilient. Thanks for keeping the focus, the main thing. And I just pray that hopefully this summer is a little bit of rest for you guys and a breather before the fall hits and the weather changes, because I know you guys work hard.
It gets busy.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Craig.
Well, thanks, Bruce, for having me.
your
It's been
time.
great to be here.
Yeah, it's been good to get to know you, and we'll be back. We'll be back again. I've got a whole bunch of other questions, but we're out of time. So if this has been a help to you or a blessing to you, send it off to somebody, forward it to somebody, tell somebody about it, and get the word out of what UGM is doing downtown. So
Good deal.
God bless.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Take care.